Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Akomea-Frimpong, and welcome to today's class. Today, I'm going to take you through how to run a simple regression. So, regressions are normally statistical tools, data analysis tools that are used to look at the relationship between two or more variables. They can also be used to predict the relationship between one variable against the other. We can also use the regression to also determine the cause and effects. To what extent does some variables, which we normally call them the independent variables, do they impact on the dependent variable? So in this video, or in this class, I'm going to start with a simple regression. And in the subsequent videos, I'll take you through different types of regression. So this is the first series as far as the regression is concerned. And the subsequent ones, I'll take my time to take you through multiple regression, logistic regression, probit regression, panel regression, and the rest. So this is the first one. So in this video, or in this class, the question is, what are the determinants or the factors that affect final exam scores of students? So here we want to know the determinants or the factors. The determinants or the factors here are considered to be the independent variables, as you can see them from here. So here, the independent variables that I have put here include the time management of students, the school climate in terms of the environment in which the students find themselves, and then also the adequate sleep, if the students have adequate sleep, good nutrition, the food that they eat, self-motivation and discipline, and practice of exams questions. So these things are presumed or assumed to be the things that affect the student exam score, which in this context, I have made it as dependent variable. So to analyze these things and get responses to address this research question, what I have already done is that I put together a questionnaire and then I gave it out to some students. And some of the students that took part, there are 106 participants or students who took part in this survey. And these are their responses. So as you can see, the TME is for time management. SES is for student exam score. ECS stand for school environment or climate. ADP is adequate sleep. GNT is for good nutrition. SND is for self-motivation and discipline. And then PEQ is for practice exam questions. Okay, so based on this, I'm going to run it in the Excel and then I'll also take you to SPSS. But before I continue, I want to say that this simple regression can be run in so many softwares. It's not only Excel and it's not only SPSS. You can use software such as the Smart PLS. You can use the Jamovi. You can use the Starter. You can use eViews. There are so many software which are available in the market that you can get to run this. So here, let's go. So I'm going to run it in the Excel. So to run it in the Excel, in case you don't know how to get that model to run, first come to File in your Excel, click on File, and then go to Options. In the options, when you click on the options, this will open, and then click on Add-ins. Within the add-ins, you see this, and then you click on Go here. When you click on Go, it will open this dialog box for you. And if you have not ticked, you tick Analyze 2-pack. In my case, I've already ticked, so there's no need for me to do it again. You click OK. Once you click OK, you come here and then you select Data. In the data, you look out and check data analysis. Data analysis, you go down. From the top, you go down and select regression. Once you select regression, you click OK. And once you click OK, because we are running a simple regression model, all that you have to do is you select the Y. The Y here represent the dependent variable, what we are trying to um, regress the thing on, which is the dependent variable. And that is the exam score of the student. So you select everything with that. And then with the X, you select all the independent variables. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 independent variables. You select all of them. And then you just select the up to the last point. Now it will ask you about labels. Yes, you need to select labels. Labels in this context represent the the codes, which represent the exam score, which is SES and the rest. And then the confidence interval, you can choose to select confidence interval maybe of 99% or 91% or 90%. So if you want to change the confidence interval, depending on how you want to change it, but the default in most statistical software is 95%. That will give us a significance level of 5%. But if you want to change it, you are free to change that. And then output. So the output is where you want to put the results. So I can decide to put our results anywhere here. And then in terms of the residuals, yes, you can use the residuals to check how things will work. Or you can decide not to even run this residuals at all. And then you also check the normality plot to see how normal your data set is. So because we are running a simple regression, will not be able to check. I will not. It's not very important to check all these things, but if you want to check, it's important. And also, if you want to check the homoscedasticity, I will encourage you to run the residuals to check either the homoscedasticity or heteroscedasticity. You can do that. I have another video which I will encourage you to watch later. Okay, so these are very simple ones. Then you click OK. And then we will get a result. So now let's check the results and interpret. So in terms of the results, you can see that it will give you the summary. Normally, the multiple R represent the correlation coefficient between the independent variables and then the dependent variables. Here you can see that there is a strong relationship between the dependent variables and independent variables. I mean, positive, which is 0.75, it's like 75%, that's almost 76%. That's great. Then in terms of the R square and adjusted R square, they represent the extent to which the independent variables impact on the dependent variable. In other words, all the 6 independent variables, how do they affect the exam scores of students? And here, more than 50%, not bad, that's good. Almost about 58%, that's great. And then the adjusted R square. Also, yeah, that's good. And then we have the standard error, and then we have the observation. Now, in terms of the ANOVA represents how the relationship, how significant the relationship between the dependent and independent variable. From here, using the significant F, or using the F statistic, we can conclude that yes, there is a significant relationship between the dependent and independent variables. Now, let's look at the point of the the results in terms of the coefficient and the independent variables. So you can see that the TMA, which represent the time management of students, influences this. But first, always look at the p-value, which represent the significance value. So here we can see that the p-values, which are less than 0.02, include this, that, which I'll come back to interpret. Yeah. So we can see from here that there are two results. Mhm. The three results, which is the time management, school climate, and adequate sleep, they are significant in terms of affecting the exam scores of students, whilst the rest are more than 0.05, therefore they are not significant. But we need to look at it from here, the coefficient, to what extent. So if we look at something like time management, it means that a change in the student score or a change in time management, a little change, it could be one or a little, or it could be a change, could be one, two, three, or any change in exam score is influenced by time by a percentage of 34.818%. Amazingly, what we are seeing here is that the school climates have a negative impact rather on this. So normally when you want to interpret this, look for additional information or data or conditions to explain why school climates have negative impact on students' score because that's the results that we are getting here. And then adequate sleep is also showing that there's a negative impact relationship. Yeah, even though it's significant, but it's negative. And then you don't need to comment on the rest because they show insignificant relationship. That is the GNT, the good nutrition, and self-discipline, and the rest. Okay, so that's how you have to interpret it. Now let me go to the SPSS and do the same thing and see whether we'll get the same results or something else. So in the SPSS, when you come to SPSS, you just have transported the same thing to the SPSS. So you click on Analyze, you look out for regression, and then you select linear. So with respect to the here, you see the dependent, which we already know, the SES is the student score, and then the remaining six variables are the independent variable that impact on this. Now, within the SPSS, you select what you want to see. So you want to see the descriptives, and here the collinearity, diagnostics, and selection criteria, and partial correlations. And the rest, I suggest they are not important at this point to run because you are not running a multiple regression. This is just a simple regression. But at the same time, you can choose to run it depending on what you are looking for. And then the Dobson-Watson, and then the press, and then co-wide diagnostic, depending on the kind of residuals analysis that you want to do. The confidence interval too, you can change it as I mentioned. So you can change that as well. And if you want 99 or 92 or 94 or something, you can change that. In terms of the plot, you can decide to plot to see the residual plot. That will help you to know the homoscedasticity and heteroscedasticity of the data set, which I mentioned. I have another video on it that will help you in the analysis. To continue, in terms of the save, you do the same thing in terms of the predictive values and then the residual values as to what you want to see. Yes, so you can select all of them, but if not, you can just leave it as it is. The default will come out. Options, the same. You select what you are looking for, and then you show style. You do the same. And bootstrapping, you do the same, depending on what you are looking for. So always be guided by what you are, but with the simple regression, you just leave them as they are. Okay, then um you now click OK. So when you click OK, the first results that you get is the descriptives. So here you see the mean, and then you see the standard deviation, and then the number of observations, which 106 people took part in the survey. In terms of the correlation, to give you the relationship between the the dependent variable and the independent variables. You can see that the relationship are kind of moderate, but it seems they are negative. Most of them are negative except the time management. Yeah, the five, the rest are negative except time management. In terms of significance, it seems they are all significant. Yeah, they are all significant, as I can see from here. It's the dependent variable. Now let me go to the model summary. With the model summary, we are seeing the same thing that we saw in the Excel, which is 76% of the coefficient. And that's the coefficient between the dependent and independent variables. And then we are also seeing the same thing in terms of the R square, which is the coefficient of determination. Adjusted R squared to the same. In terms of the ANOVA, we are getting the same results in terms of the F statistical, this F significance. Now, when we come to the coefficient table, it's also giving us the standardized coefficient betas, and then the unstandardized. Always use the unstandardized coefficient. But before you use any of them, you have to just check the you have to check the significance level. The significance level. So always use this one, but always check the significance level to know. I mean, use on standardized coefficient, and then you can also use the standardized coefficient beta, depending on the kind of results that you are looking for. Yeah. In terms of the significance, check the significance. So as we saw it from the Excel sheets, we have the time, the environment, the school environment, adequate sleep. They have significant impact. But at the same time, their relationship is negative. Okay? The relationship between them is negative. Yeah. So that is the interpretation that you have to give to these results. Yeah. So yeah. So use the unstandardized coefficient. And we can see that we are seeing negative relationships. And it's only the adequate time in terms of sleep, time management, and the school environment that have significant impact on the exam scores of students. So thank you very much for this. This is a very simple regression, which is easy to run and interpret. And you can also check the constant. The constant is we assume that if there is no independent variable, this is how much. If there is nothing like time management, sleep, and all that, this is the extent to which the students will fare in terms of their exam score, which is the constant. SPSS call it as constant, but it's also called intercept. With Excel rightly also put it intercept. But if you see intercept or constant, they are the same. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best. So concentrate on this, the beta, the standardized beta. Use this. Yeah. So I wish you all the best and see you in another video. Take care. Bye bye.